Great. Well, thank you for that introduction. And on behalf of our board chairman, Mr. Craig Richardson from Grand River Foods, and our executive director, Steve Peters, I want to thank you for inviting the Alliance of Ontario Food Processors for being here today. The Alliance represents approximately 650 food and beverage manufacturers around the province of Ontario of all sizes and in all processing sectors. So not only thank you for inviting us to be here, but also thank you for including food as part of your agenda today, other than, of course, for lunch. We believe that food and food manufacturing is really the best kept secret in the Ontario economy. Just to give you an idea of how big the food sector is, or food manufacturing sector is, I'm sorry. We recently commissioned the accounting firm of MNP to do an economic impact analysis on food and beverage manufacturing in the province of Ontario. What we learned from that was that food and beverage manufacturing is the second largest component of Ontario's manufacturing sector. So to put that in context, it's approximately a $39 billion industry per year that employs over 127,000 Ontarians. That's approximately, I believe it's 3 to 4 times more than the auto industry employs. Why is food manufacturing kind of exciting? Well, through 2005 and 2010, food and beverage manufacturing bucked the economic trend in manufacturing and grew at a rate of just over 2% per year. So when other manufacturing sectors were having a hard time, food and beverage was growing steadily at about 2% per year. Interestingly enough, too, approximately 40% of the food and beverage manufacturing in Ontario is actually done in the GTA. So this isn't something that's just a rural Ontario phenomenon. This is something that happens in all communities of all sizes across Ontario. As you know, one of the opportunities, I think, in the food and beverage manufacturing sector for communities like Durham is, as consumers demand to buy local, communities need to be ready to take advantage of that consumer demand. In future opportunities, I believe that Ontario is very well placed to become North America's kitchen. Our farmers produce almost 200 commodities. As manufacturers, we have access to some of the largest markets in North America and infrastructure that helps us get our products to market. I always like to point this out too. Our food and beverage manufacturers in the province of Ontario, we purchase approximately 65% of the food that's produced on Ontario farms. So, as we like to say, we were buying locally before buying locally was cool. But some of the challenges that face our industry that we need to work on, the first would be education. Ontario has an educated workforce, but they need to develop a food manufacturing workforce that has the right skills. To do this, we're going to need partnerships between industry, government, and academia. And just to highlight, give you an example of why this is important, we have one of our larger members bought a new processing line, had it installed. They have an operation in Cambridge. Had it installed, and after it was installed, realized there was no one in Ontario that was trained to maintain this equipment. So they wound up having to bring in a company from the Netherlands to come for I think 6 weeks at a time, just to maintain this equipment. And it spoke that there is a role for. There's a need for a high-tech workforce in the food sector that we need to work on. The other challenge that I would say the food manufacturing sector has is it's really dominated by those small and medium-sized enterprises. Excuse me. They probably, I would say about 90% of our members have less than 50 employees. So they have some really unique needs when it comes to trying to expand those businesses. And it's not just an access to capital. We find there's a gap when it comes to best management practices such as financial planning. We did a study of our 250 food and beverage manufacturers, and 70% of the respondents said they only had a business plan because a lending institution asked them for it. So It's unique in manufacturing that way. So there's a role there, but really it would be the upside in this sector is phenomenal. I think this can continue to grow. We can continue to create jobs. And with that, I look forward to the rest of the panel.